Hi guys! I decided to do a tag video for my first video on this channel for the new year, just because I like doing tag videos, and I never get tagged to do tag videos. I just kind of do ones that I find interesting, and I saw another YouTuber that I follow do this tag. His name is Tellez. I'll link the video he did below, but it's like a movie tag. There's 19 questions, so because there's 19 questions, even though this will be hard, I'll try to stick to like a few things per question and get through it, because if I like picked more than that, this would be like a 5-hour video. So I'll just pick a few things and kind of go through it. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's kind of, you'll see more of my movie taste, because I am really into horror, but I'm also into other things. And I'll probably be doing other types of movie reviews on this channel this year as well. But horror is like one of the biggest things I love, so that'll mostly be the majority of it, but I like other things too. Now I'm looking down because I have all the questions and stuff on my laptop in front of me. So the first question is, what is your favorite film of all time? And it has to start off with the hardest question, because I really think it's hard to have just one favorite film of all time. I have like a ton of favorite films that I watch over and over again, and that are like tens in my book. But if I have to pick a few, I'll go with a really old silent film called Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans. It's a fantastic film, silent or non-silent. It's just a great film. The Breakfast Club, which I really love, like cheesy 80s movies, because I was born in the 80s. I think the 80s teen movies are some of the best, ever made. And The Breakfast Club just has a special place, because I didn't even watch it till I was a teenager. But I love that movie. I can quote that movie. I've watched that movie so many times. So, Casablanca, love that movie. And, Ron, Kira Kurosawa, the movie, it was made the year I was born. But yeah, that's one of my favorite movies, Japanese movies. It's great. So yeah, those are my favorites. I can't pick just one because I like way too many. What is your favorite scene from that movie? And that's even harder because there's so many good scenes. There's like, Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans, because it's silent, the actors have to, do a lot with their facial expressions and their body movements to show that emotion, because, you don't hear what they're saying. And probably one of the best parts in that movie is when the husband and wife have come back from the city home, and they're in the storm, and the husband thinks the wife has died, and it's just so emotional. Like when they finally see each other again, and she opens her eyes and she's safe. It's just like such a beautiful moment. And The Breakfast Club, there's so many great scenes in The Breakfast Club. Like seriously, that movie has so many amazing scenes. But probably my favorite scene, and a scene I get emotional. I cannot watch this movie or this scene without like tearing up. I get emotional every time. As you can tell, I'm getting like emotional right now. But the scene where they're all talking about how they got detention, and Brian finally tells how, because he's been like avoiding it, he finally tells why he got detention, and it's so sad. Like that, it starts off sad and then it gets funny, of course, like when he tells the story. But that story was just so sad. I can't watch that part without crying. I know that's ridiculous, but yeah, I can't. Favorite actors, actresses. Again, super hard question. I like a lot of older actors and actresses. Like Humphrey Bogart is my favorite actor of all time. I love him. Vincent Price, amazing. Buster Keaton, again, love him. Katharine Hepburn, like those are just, they're older actors, but they're some of my favorite. And then I really, really like Hyun Bin and Shin Min-na. They're Korean actors, and yeah, I love them. There's way too many actors I like, but those are kind of the main ones. Number 4 is favorite directors. Again, a super hard question. There's also directors that I like, but I like some of their films, but I don't like all their films. and some directors that I did used to like, but like I haven't liked a lot of their films in like a couple decades or the past decade. But if I had to pick, I'm gonna pick a couple because I can't just choose one. I have to make it complicated. Akira Kurosawa, oh my gosh, I just love. He did Seven Samurai and Ron, and those are like some of my favorite movies, and I can't. They're just so amazing. So I love him. I love Howard Hawks. He did a lot of like screwball comedies in the 40s. And yeah, screwball, like the 40s, 50s, late 30s screwball comedies, that's like some of my favorite films ever. And a modern one, I guess, would be like Guillermo del Toro. I love the Hellboy movies, and I love his Spanish films, so yeah, he's awesome. Guilty pleasures. Which I have them, but I don't feel guilty about liking them because people can like what they like and I don't care. But I guess it'd be like, I really like, if it was just Christmas time, I love watching cheesy Christmas movies. Like the better, like the more cheesy the better, like especially the made for TV ones. They're so great. I could watch those like 24 hours a day around Christmas time. I just love them. Bad horror movies. Bad horror movies are, again, that's not really a guilty pleasure because I don't, don't feel guilty, but like I love bad horror movies. Bad horror movies to me are more funny than most comedies that I watch. Comedy is probably my least favorite genre. I just find most, especially modern comedies, are not funny to me. Like, especially like the really, really raunchy ones and the like stuff like that. Like that's not that funny to me. I don't know. It just, very few of them I find humorous, but like the Leprechaun movies and Troll 2 and Wrong Turn 2, like all those movies, they're horrible, but they're so much fun to watch and they're so funny. So yes, and yeah, but again, I don't really feel guilty about that. Favorite tearjerker. Okay, like when it comes to movies and TV shows, especially Asian TV shows, I get so emotional, but in real life, you will not see me cry. Hardly ever. I don't cry in real life. But when movies, oh my gosh. And it's hard to pick a specific one because I cry in movies so much, it's like ridiculous. But dog movies, anything having to do with a dog, I'm like so, like Marley and Me, Old Yeller, Homeward Bound, anything where a dog either dies or gets hurt or you think it's gonna die, I bawl. Like, dog movies are my Achilles heel. I swear, I cannot handle it. Most Asian movies make me sob like there's no tomorrow. I cry tears of blood. Like, Under the Hawthorn Tree, Temptation of Wolves, Seven Samurai. Yeah, I just cry. And let's see, American ones. Like, The Mighty from the mid-90s. I can't. Powder. Schindler's List. American History X. Like, those are movies I will cry so much that I will, like, be dehydrated from crying so much. So, yeah. I do love tearjerkers, though. What character from a movie has scared you the most? This is, like, a difficult question because nothing's really scared me since I was a kid. Like, when I was a kid and first watched movies, like Child's Play was my first horror movie. Yeah, stuff that was smaller than me scared the crap out of me. Like, Leprechaun and Chucky, those things scared me for like a few years because it was, I don't know why, it was like stuff that was shorter than me scared me really bad. The stuff that was taller than me, like people that are taller than me, didn't. Like Freddy and Jason, all that didn't scare me. But as an adult, not really anything. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I'll try to explain myself. I would say humans. In movies, well, in real life too, but in movies, humans are so horrible to each other and do such horrible things. Like, horror movies and also other movies can be like, in horror movies we have this, antagonist who's like maybe supernatural or doesn't die or things like that. And that's, that can be scary to some people. But stuff that can really happen, like somebody coming and murdering you or kidnapping you or torturing you or doing horrible things to your loved ones or just stuff like that, like, that to me is more scary because it can actually happen. So humans, and I know that sounds so weird, and I could explain this for like 20 minutes, but yeah, human beings, we're horrible to each other. And it, you know, it makes for scary films. Which movie do you love but everyone else hates? And again, this could be a long list, because loving and hating films is very subjective, but, oh gosh, there's so many. Night of the Living Dead, the remake from 1991. I love that movie. That's one of my favorite zombie movies. And I know a lot of people don't like that movie. And I guess because they always compare it to the original, but I really, really like that movie. And a lot of people don't. Like, but that one. Another one is like Son-in-Law from like, what year was that? 96 or 95 with Pauly Shore. That's a terrible movie, but I love that movie. I've watched that movie so many times. And yeah, I love that movie. But I'll readily admit that it's not a good movie, but a lot of people hate it, I guess. Which movie do you hate but everyone else loves? And again, this is an extremely long list. Actually, Johnny, the guy that did the tag first that I watched, he said some movies that I agreed with, like Dark Knight Returns, which I really didn't like. I love the first two, but the third one for me was like so much stuff that I didn't like about it, and I was like, I've gotten into arguments, mostly online, with people about that movie just because I didn't like it. Everyone's like, oh, this is the best movie, the best one out of the trilogy, and I'm like, no, what, did we watch the same thing? That, like I was saying, a lot of raunchy comedies I just don't like American Pie, Knocked Up, all those. I don't care for those. Godzilla, except for the very first Godzilla in the 50s, like the first one, I really don't like most Godzilla movies because I was forced to watch like 30 of those things, like the monster movies and the Godzilla movies and the spin-off ones during one summer, and that was like torture. I would rather have been physically tortured than to watch those movies. And it's just so, the plot is bad, the acting's bad, and you see the monster and the fighting for like 5 minutes, and you have to sit through this huge, boring movie to see some monsters. And I just didn't get into it. But I love the first one. I don't know why. And Wanted, I really hate that movie, and I know a lot of people like that movie, but I just didn't like that. And Tale of Two Sisters, which I'm really into Korean films and Asian films, and Tale of Two Sisters is always like, everyone's like, that's the best Korean horror film and blah blah blah, but that movie was so boring. And it was also really confusing. It's another one of those Asian movies that has like 3 different endings, and I really didn't like that. So, yeah, again, I could go on. I need to stop. I could go on. Favorite movie duo? Probably Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I've really enjoyed most of the films they've made together. And I also liked their show, the TV show that they were both in. But I think they're just funny. I love them. That's probably mine. Because I can't really think of a duo right now. Which actor or actresses do you have a crush on? I don't really have a crush on actors or actresses because I've never met them and probably won't. So I don't know, like, their real personalities or whatnot. But actors that I'm attracted to? American, like Josh Brolin, Keanu Reeves, Ben Foster, Chris Evans. And this is going to sound really weird. Every time I say this, people are like, just look at me. But Vincent D'Onofrio, I don't know what it is. I'm so attracted to that man. I think it was because I don't know. I first thought he was really attractive when I saw him. He was Thor in the Adventures in Babysitting in the 80s. And I thought he was really attractive. And ever since then, I've kept thinking he was attractive. But most people think I'm crazy. But yeah. And then I like a lot of, Asian actors that are attractive, like Hyun Bin and Gong Yoo. But yeah. Favorite movie villain? Again, there's so many. Hannibal Lecter. I love, most of the horror movies like Chucky and Freddy and all those. Norman Bates. the Goblin King from Labyrinth. Like, yeah. Again, this would be, like, super long. Which movie surprised you the most? Anytime I watch anything from the 1970s and I don't hate it, that surprises me. 1970s is probably my least favorite decade for movies ever. I just don't like most of the movies from there. So whenever I watch a 1970s film and it's okay or I like it, that really surprises me. And the movie Goodfellas really surprised me because I don't like mobster mafia movies at all. I kind of find them, I don't know, it's just not my thing, and I actually like that movie a lot, so probably those two. Least favorite director. This could be, like, again, number 14, least favorite director. So for this, I try to think of directors that I don't like any movies from, because there are directors that I like, and they have certain movies that I don't like, or might even hate, but I try to think of directors who I like nothing they've ever done. Uwe Boll is one of them. I have never liked any of the films of his. I don't even know why I've watched more than one of his films, but I have, because he did mostly video game movies, and I like video games. And I've played some of the games that he made movies of, so I watched them out of curiosity. But no, every movie he's ever done, I've hated really, really badly. I've only watched parts of movies from this director, so that's probably cheating, with David Duchovny. And if you don't know who David Duchovny is, that's a good thing, because he is a director who basically films all the movies he makes inside his house. They're on Netflix for some odd reason. They're usually all male, and somehow or another throughout the film, the males all become shirtless and walk around in their underwear. So there's lots of like homoerotic stuff going on. And that's all his movies are. They're so horrible. They're usually horror, but they're so bad. They're not even funny bad. They're like, please kill me, like gouge my eyes out bad. I hate those movies. And the guys who make all those like spoof movies, I like Scary Movie 1 and 2, but like Disaster Movie, Date Movie, all those, every one of those is horrible. So whoever makes those is like, no, they're bad. They need to stop. Favorite book turned movie. That's also hard. Most books are better than the movies, but not all of them. And I tried to think of movies where I like the movie better than the book, and that would probably be a couple. The Notebook, I liked that movie way better than I liked the book. Tuck Everlasting. I didn't like these better than the book. I like the book. It's different. The movies are so, like, different than the books that I do really like them. But they're not, like Hellboy, the movies and the comics. I've read all the graphic novels. I love the graphic novels. But the movies are really different. They have the same characters, but it has the essence of Hellboy comics, but it's different stories and different characterizations. But I love those movies. Those are probably my favorite comic book movies. And I know, they just are. And Wizard of Oz. I really like the Wizard of Oz book, but if you've ever read the books, it's very different from the film. But I still love that film a lot, and I love the books, so probably those. Which movie has had a significant impact on your life? That's a hard one too, because I love films and I've been watching them like most of my life, but it's hard to say that they've had impacted me. I guess one would be My Neighbor Totoro, because that was the first Asian film I ever watched, and I didn't even know it was foreign at the time when I was like 8. I got it from Pick-a-Flick Video, which has been out of business for a really long time. But yeah, that was like my first introduction into like Asian, and I didn't even know it was Asian. And of course I'm obsessed with Asian stuff now. And Child's Play, I guess, because that was the first horror movie I watched, and kind of started my love and fascination with horror movies. And I don't know, there's so many movies, but basically any movie that kind of had the theme of being yourself, and that being yourself is more important than anything else, and that the people that really love you will be there and will support you, and that's not always going to be family, that your friends might be closer than family, or just that it's okay to be different and it's okay to not be like everybody else. And there's a lot of movies that do that, so with that. Favorite movie quotes, and I have again, this could be like a whole hour of me talking because I have so many. But I'll pick 3. And I did write these down beforehand so that I wouldn't forget them. Ron, in a mad world, only the mad are sane. From The Breakfast Club, of course. When I look in at myself, you know, and I see me, and I don't like what I see. And of course I'll get like sad because that's Brian, and I just can't. And The Wolfman, which is my favorite classic horror film. Even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. I just love that. I love that movie so much. Favorite movie score. And that's hard too. But probably, because you know, I don't really think of scores unless it's a musical, but, or soundtracks. But probably some of my favorites are Donnie Darko. I think I have like most of the songs from that soundtrack downloaded, but that was such an amazing soundtrack. And the movie Drive, really great soundtrack. Best movie you've seen lately, or recently? Number 19, last question. I know I haven't been saying the numbers, I'm like all over the place. Big Hero 6, I watched that recently. And it was a little bit predictable, but it really I really liked it. I mean, I cried, but of course I cried everything, but yeah. Big Hero 6 was really good. So that's all 19 questions, and I will list all 19 questions below. And if you want to do the tag, feel free to, because I thought it was fun. And yeah, as always, thanks so much for watching. Bye.